Bickering Book Reviews.
And I'm Becky.
And today we're going to be reviewing How to Hang a Witch by Adriana Mather. It's Adriana, right? Adriana Mather. So this book is about Sam, who is part of a descendant of the Salem witch trials. She's actually a descendant of Cotton Mather, who was the one that led the witch hunt. Sam's father gets sick and in a coma, and to cope with the hospital bills, her stepmother and Sam moved back to Salem, which her father never wanted to have happen, but it did. While there, Sam comes across the other descendants from the witch trials who were the descendants of the witches, so obviously there's some contention there. Then there's this whole mystery about where the witches were buried, and then strange things start happening. People start dying, and Sam feels that she needs to figure it out because everybody's starting to blame her. And yep, that's how to hang a witch.
That is about it.
So,
should I start?
You can start. I don't even know what to say.
I was not a fan of this book. I listened to it, and it's one of those books read by the author, and I didn't know much about this author, but this is her first book. It seems that she's very young. I couldn't figure out how old she was. Nowhere did it say it. But I guess she's an actress. She has an IMDb page. And it takes a certain skill set to do a good audiobook reading, and I feel like whenever I get a book read by an author, I have never liked it.
Well, and because I read it, I just don't think it lends itself well as an audiobook.
I wouldn't have gotten through it if I didn't listen to it.
See, because I don't think I would have gotten through it had I listened to it.
But we do audiobooks differently.
That's true.
Yeah.
So my sister, shout out to Rachel, my sister read this book, absolutely loved it. She couldn't put it down. She thought it was really interesting, that it moved well. I was not as enthusiastic about the book. It wasn't that I didn't like it. I really don't have any strong feelings about this book. It was okay. It just kind of seemed like a pale representation of the witch trials. Like, I just think L.J. Smith's Secret Circle does a similar thing, and it does it better.
Well, in a lot of books, like when you read books written by older adults that talk about teens, the voice of the teen isn't realistic. In this book, for me, the voice of the adults wasn't realistic. There's a part where I can't remember who, but somebody, and I remember it because of the way she read it in the audiobook, literally in response to something that was unusual, proclaims, "How curious! Who have you ever heard
that was
that?
the mom, Jackson's mom.
And there was all sorts of stuff like that throughout the whole book. And the teen dialogue it was just very stilted.
You know, I think I have to agree with your adult idea, your adult feelings, because really it was the adult characters that I had the issue with. I actually had the biggest issue with the stepmother.
Oh, it was obvious from page one what was going on.
Well, but like the thing is with the stepmother, it vacillated between she's a really good guy and then she's a really bad guy, and you just couldn't, like, it didn't make sense. If the girl and the stepmother were so close when they were younger, I think either that or the girl has some serious memory issues. Then how do they get from being happy-go-lucky when she's growing up to fighting, screaming constantly all the time? Like, nothing major happened in there to make that. And I don't think it was just that, people get crazy or unhappy when somebody's sick and in the hospital. Like your whole personality, like it isn't like Invasion of the Body Snatchers where your whole personality changes. It just didn't make sense how she went from being one type of person to being somebody totally different. And
it totally annoyed me, the whole thing with her father when she got the bully cut her hair off. And it's a spoiler alert, but and they're like, oh, it's so sad. It's assault. Why would you be okay with that? Why would you be like, oh, we're just going to be the same now?
Well, and it never really made sense, like, why she was bullied the way she was and why nobody did anything about it.
I thought that was explained at the end, but I don't want to give it away.
I mean, I think it was, but, it didn't fit for me. Like, it didn't fit very well for me.
No. And there's not much else to say because I was just like, nah. Like, literally, I was, waiting for it to be done. I was actually glad that I got stuck in a traffic jam for over an hour because it got me to finish the book.
And no, I did like the ghost character. I know that you weren't a fan, but I did like him.
I didn't have a problem with the character. I'm sick of love triangles, and that's what that felt like, and it felt like a very forced love triangle. But if it's written by a 19-year-old...
It felt very...
And I'm just guessing 19, like I said, I could not figure out how old she was. I looked on a lot of different websites.
What was that movie? Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on the movie with Three Witches. Bette Midler's one of them.
Oh, Hocus Pocus.
Okay, so it totally felt like Bangs and Hocus Pocus.
It's been so long
cat.
since I saw that.
So that's who the ghost felt like, is the cat from Hocus Pocus.
I just...
I don't know. So are we ready to rate it?
I'm ready to rate it.
Okay, I'll let you go first then.
I'm going to give it 2 goblins. I didn't like it, but I didn't dislike it. It just kind of was. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but I wouldn't try to deter somebody from reading it.
I'll give it 1 fairy. I mean, it was pretty good. Like, if you like witch trial books, it's there.
See, and I had some issues with the witch trial stuff.
Yeah, like historically, or...
Well, and I'm not sure historically. I didn't like the way she wrote it, and I had questions about how old were the witches, if they had descendants. And so I took a class in college that was witchcraft and magic and religion, and we went over the witch trials, and I mean, I think her stuff is historically accurate. It just didn't feel genuine.
I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. I think because of all the magic and the supernatural stuff, you have to suspend your belief. You have to suspend reality. That I could work with it.
But you have to admit, they are pushing the fact that she's a descendant of this, that the author is. It literally says on the back jacket of the book that she is a Mather, she's a descendant of the people from the Plymouth Rock, that they're like, this is historic. So it didn't...
Yeah, but I mean, if you don't read that beforehand...
You can't have it both ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I just wasn't as fired up about anything.
I wasn't fired. That was the problem, was I didn't care enough to be fired up about it.
Oh.
I'm happier when I don't like a book or I love a book, but this was just like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's all we have for How to Hang a Witch.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Adios.